Hi guys, in the first part of this project we managed to create a sales trend report based on the KPI visual. We used 6 amazing tricks to make it dynamic, visually appealing and fit for purpose. In this part of this project we'll equip the dashboard with more capabilities and functionalities. We will implement dynamic hierarchy to switch between L1 and L2, and we'll allow more options for prior dates. We'll have prior quarter and year to date. Finally, we'll implement an amazing workaround to zoom in to the trend line showing in the background of each of the KPIs, both for L1 KPI or the overall KPI and for the categories KPI or L2 KPIs. If you still haven't watched part 1 of this project, don't worry, I left a link in the description for you, so you can watch it after you finish here. But before you do that, make sure to subscribe to this channel to stay updated with amazing business intelligence projects. Grab a cup of coffee, sit back and watch. Okay guys, this is the dashboard we created the previous part. Let's check if it's still working. Everything looks good. Now in this report we can see that we start by a country as a filter, then we have the products as categories. Now the first thing we want to work on is having dynamic hierarchy. To be able to switch the filter from countries to products and see the countries as categories. As a first thought, we might think to duplicate this page and create another page with different hierarchy. However, this option is not a good idea because we'll have to create all the measures and ducks we created in the first part again. Instead, we'll have a simpler workaround from the Power Query. Let's click on Transform Data and we can see the sales hierarchy. Let's duplicate this query, rename it to Sales, and then disable it from loading to the dashboard, then reference it and we rename it to Sales Country. Next we'll add a custom column and let's name it Category and have the value as Country. And we repeat this process again, this time for product. Once we do that, we need to switch the columns. We need to make L1 as product and L2 as country. Then we add a custom column, we name it category and we give it the value product. Let's disable it from loading to the dashboard, and finally from home we append those queries together as a new. The sales product first table, the second table is the country, click OK. So now we have one query containing both. If you see in L2 we have both the countries and products, and in L1 also we have the country and products, and we have the category for both products and country. Now the last thing we need to do here is replace the original query, the sales hierarchy, with the new append query. So you need to be careful here. If you try to delete the old query and rename the new one with sales hierarchy, once you load it to the dashboard, you lose all the calculated column and the measures created, because Power BI links the calculated column and the measures to the ID of the query. To overcome this, I have a small workaround. Just select the new query created and go to Advanced Editor from Home and copy the code and go back to the original query and replace the code there with the new code and click Done. Now you can delete the append query and you will have the sales hierarchy query with the new code. Now let's close and apply, and as you can see the dashboard is still functioning and we didn't lose any calculated columns or measures. Now what we need to do, we need to add slicer. Let's copy the country slicer, remove the field L1 and feed the category field. Next we select the original slicer from Format, Edit Interaction, and we make the new slicer, ignore the original slicer. Now we can see we have both categories, products and country. We can see once we switch to product, we have the product showing as overall and a breakdown by the country. And we are done with the first workaround. In the previous part, we created previous value to replace the target value. However, we have only the previous quarter as an option for previous value. In this part, we'll do options, for example, previous year. And to do this, we'll start by going to modeling, create a new DAX table. Just paste. I'll have a column called period, and I have two options for the values, YTD or year to date and previous quarter. Next, we'll duplicate this slicer and remove the field category from it and feed the field from the table we just created, the period. Just resize it and place it next to the other slicers. Then we'll go to the previous value measure we created in the first part, and as you can see here, we defined a variable for the previous date based on the previous quarter. So we're gonna replace this variable with a new variable that will switch based on the selected period. So if the period is prior quarter, we'll have the prior quarter to calculate the previous quarter value based on the date. If it contains YTD or year to date, we'll take the year from the current date, selected date, subtract 1 from it to look into the previous year, and then provide the month as 12 or December and the day as 31st, and we hit OK. Now, if we can see in the slicer, when we switch from prior quarter to YTD, we can see the values are changing to show the previous year date. But notice here the text still showing the prior quarter, so we need to change this to have it more general, but we'll leave this for a minute and we'll do it later in this video. And this concludes the second workaround. In part 1 of this project, we created a trend line behind each of the KPIs, both for the overall or level 1 and for level 2 or L2. Now we need to be able to zoom into this trend line. To do this, we'll start by creating another page. We name it trend line. Next, let's import the background for this page. I have it ready, and change the settings to fit and transparency to 0. Now let's go back to the sales page and copy L1 slicer and go to the new page and paste it. And we make sure it's in sync, and we just leave it on the top here for now. Next, we'll add the cluster line visual, and we feed to it the date, the x-axis, and we remove the day and the month. Next, we'll feed to it the sales values. Let's move it to the line and rename it sales with the $sign. Expand this visual, and finally we add the change, which is the measure we created in part 1 of this project, showing the change from one period to another. Now let's format this visual. We remove the title from x-axis, we change the y-axis value to sales with the $sign, hide the legends. For the columns color, we'll use conditional formatting based on the change value, which is the measure we created in the previous part. If it's less than 0, we give it color red. If it's equal to 0, yellow. And if it's greater than 0, we give it a green. Next, we'll change the line color and add markers and data labels. Let's format the labels for the change series. Let's make the position inside center, change the color of the background and the value color. Now let's go to general and format the title. For the text showing, we'll use the same measure we created in part 1 of this project, the same title, so it will be automated, and we click OK, change the color background and text color and put it and centralize it, and also hide the background and show shadows. Next, we'll add a slicer for the date. Let's size it, and we feed the date to it. Let's format it, background and shadows, and size it properly. Let's see if it's working. Everything looks good. Now for the L1 slicer, let's show selection and select it and hide it, because we will depend only on the L1 filter from the sales page once we navigate to the trend line page. Now we go back to the sales page And from insert, we add a button, a blank button. We'll use it to navigate to the trend line page. Let's add rounded corners to it, 10. And from style, we select the default state. And for the icon, we'll use a custom icon. I have it ready. I'll just import it. And we put it in the center, change the fill color for the default, and resize it. And from action, we select page navigation, and we select the destination to the new page we created. That's it. Let's try it. We can see it is in sync with the sales page. Now let's add a back button here too. Resize it, and from general we change the icon color. Now let's go back and test it further. For example, select for country, UAE, and we can see the title is updated and the values are updated as expected. And this concludes the third workaround for this video. So guys, we found a workaround to zoom into the trend line for the overall or L1 trend line. But we need to find another workaround to have a dynamic way to zoom into each of the categories in L2. To do this, we'll start by creating a new column. I have it ready, I'll just paste it. This column will have the text says select here to drill through and L1 and between brackets L2. Let's hit OK. Next we'll add a table and we feed in the drill through column we just created. We can see that this table is showing the 5 KPIs showing in the page. Next let's open the filter and feed in the rank column we created in the previous part to the filter, and first we filter it for rank 1 to be filtered for the first KPI. Next we change the column name to just a dot, and we format it. We make the style to none, and we reduce the column header size, and we format the background and the text value. Let's resize it now. Increase the value and put it in the center, and we can show it inside the KPI. Next we show selections from view, and we place this table inside KPI 1. We need to make sure that it's in the very front, so it's the first. So now when we click on it, we can see all the other KPIs are hidden, and an L1 KPI is also filtered to the value of this KPI. Next we'll create a drill through page to see the trend line. Let's just duplicate the trend line page and rename the old one to trend line overall and the drill through page to trend line. Next we can keep all filters. We don't want any filters on this page, and we show the L1 slicer and delete it. And in the drill through column we'll use the column we created for drill through, and this is the only column we'll be filtering this page. So now let's go back to the sales page. Maybe we just resize the trend line in this KPI to make it above the table. Then we duplicate the button we created in the previous workaround, and from action we change the action type to drill through and the destination to the new page we created, the drill through page. Now if we click in the value inside the table, we can see the drill through button get activated. If we click on it, we can see it takes us to the drill through page with the title updated for this KPI and the values as well. Now, if you remember earlier in this episode, we have the prior quarter showing for the values. However, we have option for YTD and prior quarter. We're gonna change it now. Let's go to format. From target label, we name it PV, as in prior value. And we need to repeat this process for all the 6 KPIs in this page. Now let's test it. Select product 6 for Saudi Arabia. We can see it updates as expected with the title and the values. And that concludes the 4th workaround of this video. As you saw in this video, we utilized 4 unique workarounds to make this dashboard more valuable and more useful. If you enjoyed the content of this video, please hit the like button. And if you want to learn more about unique business intelligence projects and elevate your BI skills, this channel is for you. So make sure to subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so before. In the next and final part of this project, we'll have one executive summary for the whole dashboard. We'll summarize the insights of the data behind this project. And for now, I will leave you with a demo of the dashboard we created in this part. Peace.